Welcome to Whose Review Matters Anyway, the podcast where the show notes are made up and the reviews don't matter, just like all the time we've lost since our last episode.
Yeah, we've been on hiatus for a while.
Very much a leave of absence, so to speak. Not planned. It's not like we intended to be away from recording. It's just that we were just talking about, Mike and I were just talking about this off air just right before we hopped on, was like, there's no motivation, at least on my end and somewhat on Mike's end, to watch anything in theaters or on streaming services. Because
Yeah,
I think the last thing that we talked about was the last thing I saw in theaters.
yeah. That last thing I saw in theaters, I was just telling Sal, was the Taylor Swift Eras tour. I
That doesn't count.
I mean, I had a great theater. It made me feel how I saw Endgame.
And that's it. We're done.
You know.
We're getting canceled at this point. Ham, however, who's not here, by the way, he's on a cruise. Although Mike did put this link in the group chat thing, so it's a possible that Ham might make a surprise appearance.
He
I
might.
wouldn't be. I would not. I would not be surprised if he did. But he's on a cruise, so he's not here recording. Plus, he didn't do the thing that we were going to talk about anyway, which we'll talk about in a second. But he's watched, I think, everything. I'm sure. Like,
It's
I don't know. Like
Ham.
he's a movie buff. Plus, he's also got the cinema pass thing or whatever, so he's got to take advantage of that.
Yeah, it's just. I'll just bring it up. One thing, like on my side, like I just feel like there's so much shit that came out, and like it's exciting that everything came out, but I just at the same time it's just like, uh I need to like try to watch everything, or like lack of motivation.
Oh, and depending on depending on what type of gamer you are, which by the way, our main topic today is just solely Marvel Spider-Man 2, but like
Yes,
also a whole shit ton of games just came out.
yes,
So like
yes,
again, it depends if you're like a broad range, like if you like all kinds, because not only did Marvel Spider-Man come out, but you also had the new Super Mario game, which is also getting rave reviews. Then
yes.
there's
Alan Wake,
also Sega Superstars. There's also Alan Wake. There's
Mortal
also Assassin's
Kombat.
Creed, the new one. Mortal Kombat 1. Holy shit, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I've been
Like
playing
there's
it
so many
nonstop.
games. Like 2023 is just like packed of like everything, which I guess for entertainment, it's a good year. Like I
Yeah,
think it's been the best year for a while now.
yeah. When was the last time we had a year like this? 2020.
Probably before the pandemic, I'm sure. Like
Yeah.
Endgame around Endgame time.
Yeah, any game
Like
time. Yeah. Yeah, around
so
there. Yeah, it's just been nonstop, and it's exciting and it's good. It's just a lot. It's a lot to catch, like to keep up.
yeah. So we'll save all that conversation with Ham. I'm sure he's got things that he wants to chime in on that part on our next episode,
For
which
sure.
who knows how long that'll be. But Marvel Spider-Man 2. We got to talk about this because obviously Spider-Man is my thing and this game is getting nonstop like high praise. I think you won't find a review out there that's less than an 8 out of 10. I don't even know if there's anything that is an 8 out of 10. I think it's everything like a 9 or a
I
10.
think IGN was
Uh,
the only company that gave it an 8 out of 10. Everything else was a 9 or a
Okay.
10 and
And
10.
then on Metacritic, I think it's like a 91, which I think is the third highest rated superhero game. I think the number one is Arkham City, and then number
Mhm.
two is Arkham Asylum, I think.
Yes,
So,
yes. I think this Spider-Man game apparently it hit some record that this is the second most successful superhero sequel, and the court like that like successfully like in sales and everything like that, because the other one was
because I think
the
it's
Arkham
also the
Knight.
fastest selling game within 24 hours, I think, for Sony PlayStation, I think.
Yeah, yeah, something like that. Or like you were saying, like for a superhero game, it's like the like second most successful one, comparing to like
Mhm.
the dark like the Arkham Knights, where those were very successful games as well for superheroes.
So let's then talk about the lead up to it first, because
Yes.
on my end, I did replay Marvel Spider-Man 1 and Miles Morales solely just for the story. I did do some side stuff here and there, just to kind of refresh my memory on like what were some of the side missions, which was kind of a good thing because there are a couple that kind of tie back into this new one.
Mm-hmm.
But I did replay both. I did finish Miles, I believe, like literally 3 days before Marvel Spider-Man 2. So I didn't want to play like I bought Assassin's Creed. I wanted to play it, but I was like, no, I want to get the story like all together. Like, this is the first time I've ever wanted to do that for a video game.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that. I got my. I guess I never talked about this part too because I did get the console, but I need to like kind of complain about something that Mike already knows what
Yeah.
I'm gonna about to complain about because like I was so pissed.
I was happy
So
about it because
usually, what do you mean you're happy about it?
because I mean, I got a free, I mean, not a free copy. I mean, I paid, but like I got a good friend discount on it.
Oh no, well, but that's not the thing though. So like, what's so stupid is that if you buy a game digitally, if you purchase it off the PlayStation Store or any store for that matter, if you buy a Nintendo game off the eShop or an
Yeah.
Xbox game from the Microsoft Store, it downloads and then it installs the game, right? Even if you buy
Oh
it way
yes.
early, it'll let you know that hey, on this date you can start installing the game. You just can't play it until the day, which is fine. Like I think for Marvel Spider-Man 2, I think it was October. I want to say October 7th, or even maybe the 13th. I think it was just 1 week before, where people could start installing the game onto their console. It just won't let you play it
Yeah.
until the 20th. So in my head, I'm thinking, okay, well, I got the console that comes with the digital game. It's just the base game of all, which, okay, fine, whatever. I can do what Marvel Spider-Man 1 did where you just buy the base game or you download the base game but you can buy the upgrade crap like after the fact. This one does not have any options for that. It's you download the base game, there's no option to buy like pay the extra $10 for the extra digital crap. So if you buy the base game, then you're kind of out of luck of losing out on the early access to the costumes and like the extra skill points, which again, big grand scheme of things, not a big fucking deal. But when you look on the back of the digital code, it says you can't redeem it until October 20th, meaning that you can't even input the code and install the game at all until October 20th.
That's
So then I'm
bullshit.
thinking, okay, well, so I'll just wait for my digital deluxe edition because I did get the collector's edition, which the statue is extremely nice. It's like a 10 out of 10. It's a
Really
beautiful statue.
nice, man. I'm glad.
Oh yeah, it's huge and it's like it's very detailed. It's very cool. Um, so then like I'm thinking in my head, okay, well, good. I don't have to lose out my digital deluxe edition, but they don't even send you the digital deluxe edition until the day of, which you would think if it's a digital copy, just send it the day before so people can install it. But it doesn't let you do that because again, on the back of the digital deluxe edition, it says you can't redeem the code until October 20th. So like you are shit out of luck if you paid the $750 for both of this, but for both of these products, not being able to play the game at midnight. You would literally have to like wait until midnight happens, then you download the game and hope that your internet's not shitty,
Yeah.
which could take anywhere from like 15 minutes to as probably as high as 2 hours, and then you could start playing the game, which is such a it's again not a big fucking deal. I get it. I get it. It's such a minor thing, but for those like diehard fans like me, it's like that's irritating because I really
It
wanted to
has
play
to
the
be
game and
irritating,
everything.
man. Like I could honestly feel your pain. Cause like if you're spending so much fucking money, you out of all people, I think I think you are the most person I've known that has spent so much money at a one time for and they're not gonna let you download it like pre-install it where you want to play it at 12 or some shit like that, and it takes a while to install this game because the updates and everything.
Yeah, because there's a day one patch too, which they said I think a few days before, which they had the nerve to also say, well, if you had the digital copy, you can pre-install the day one patch. Well, I couldn't fucking do that until after I downloaded the original copy.
Yes,
So,
and I am going to go on a little tiny little rant on some of the issues of the game.
well, not yet. If we're going to bugs and glitches yet, not yet. Let's
Okay.
not go there yet.
Okay.
Um, Still talking about the lead up. So I paid all that money. I got to play it. I think for a couple hours. Friday night. So I didn't even get to play it like the morning or the day of. I had to wait till Friday night after I got off of work. Played a couple hours, and then I had work again all day, and then I played for a
Hmm.
couple more hours on Saturday, and I just nonstop played it like all day, all night, all day, and ended up beating it by Monday morning. I think it was like 2 o'clock. Whenever I texted you guys,
Yeah,
that's when
you. I think you're the fastest person that I know that beating that game. Like I was like, holy
I,
shit! Like fuck them kids, right? Like
it was I think it took me about 20, a little over 20 hours. I think when I saw credits it was 25, but I don't know how accurate that was because I think when I got towards like the last mission it said 16 hours. So I don't know how Sony PlayStation does their time tracking, but I'm going to say average probably about 20 hours it took for me to not only just beat it but also to 100% it. Um
damn.
Technically, because I think like if you didn't notice, Mike, like once you completed everything, it was at 98%, and then you get the last thing once the game is over and you're back to replaying the city. So
Yeah.
that's where the 100% comes in.
Okay. I did everything before doing the last mission.
Yeah, so did I. But you
Okay.
don't get the very ultimate last thing until you're back after the credits.
Okay. I mean, I already did that. I have that. Like to get the ultimate like difficulty.
No, no. So like one of the missions, the eco-friendly missions, the
Yes, I
leaf
did that
thing.
one. Yes.
Yeah, you can't get the last one until the end of the game. Like
Oh,
until
yes, yes,
literally
yes.
you're
I
back.
did notice that. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that. But so that's how long it took me. Okay, so Mike, for you, leading up to the game, did you replay anything or did you were
So
just like, oh, I'm
I
watching
didn't replay Spider-Man 1. I wanted it to, but I don't have I thought I had I thought I owned the game, but I didn't. I remember that back then I used to share an account with my friend that has the game under his account. But I don't share accounts with him anymore, so I don't have it. But I do have the PlayStation Extra and I never played Miles. So I played Miles a month before this game came out.
hmm
So but I did watch a recap of the first one just in case leading up to this one. So and I'm glad that I played Miles because some things did tied up
Yes.
with Miles in this one. And so that's the only thing I've done leading towards
Okay.
leading going towards this part two.
Okay. Um Ratings wise, how we want to review this. Usually we do our cards. But I have like three different ratings I kind of want to give it
Yeah.
if we're gonna go like specific numbers. I think, and we can already like go into disagreement if we have to. But I would like
Hmm.
to think that you and I are on the same page and would give this game a green card. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. So now then, with that aside, if we go into our specific, if we let's do the numerical one
Okay.
because I have three different ratings for this one.
Okay.
So if I were to rate this numerically, I think the first thing I have to throw out there is the intro is a fucking 15,000 out of 10.
Oh my god, the
Like
intro was phenomenal. I think that's the best intro I've ever played in any video game.
that's why I had to text it to you guys. I was like, this is the best fucking intro I think I've ever experienced. Like not even just like the gameplay, but like the song that goes along with it right at the
Hmm.
beginning. It's like holy shit. Like they came here to party. Like they came here thinking like, yeah, we're going to be the best fucking game out here. Here's the proof right from the
It was like
get-go.
Step Brothers, like we're here to fuck shit up.
And to start with a boss battle of all things too. Like you could
Yeah,
argue that the first one was a boss battle, but you kind of had to like work up to it. This one was like, nope, just go
instant.
straight into the boss battle.
Yeah, like you don't need to do any like go inside the bank and try to stealth. Nah, here you go. Go after him.
The intro was just so well put together that I just don't know how you could top that intro. If we just stick to Spider-Man games, I don't think you could ever top that intro, which makes me think if they ever do a Spider-Man 3, like I don't know how they would accomplish that. I don't know other games. I don't know how God of War Ragnarok or Horizon Forbidden West start out, but
Yeah,
I just feel like out of all intros, this gets you like if you were already excited for Spider-Man, this doesn't just like slow down the momentum. This is like just continues to build up on it and gets you even more excited for the rest to come.
That is true. Yeah. First of all, audience, listeners, spoilers, spoilers, spoilers.
Oh
We're
yes, the whole thing is going to be
The whole
spoilers.
thing
It's
is going
very
to be
hard to talk about this
spoilers.
game
We
without
kind of
spoilers.
gave our cards of the whole entire game. Well, our thoughts so far. We think that this game is a green card all the way. So, but stick around if you want to hear spoilers. We're going to get into depth. We're going to get into details, stories, everything. So going into the opening, comparing to Ragnarok and this one takes the cake in my opinion. Ragnarok had a cool intro, fighting boss battle right away, but this right here was just like fucking phenomenal masterpiece, spectacular. Like a fucking like Gordon Ramsay cooked this meal with love, like mwah.
And the way that it switched between the two Spider-Man, I think was well handled too. It didn't feel like out of place. It didn't feel jarring. It felt like, yeah, this
A
kind of
good
makes sense.
balance.
Now we're in this perspective, so let's play this character. Now we're in this perspective, let's play this character. So it just worked out very well.
Yeah, yeah. I want to say in the beginning, like it balanced really well of going back and forth. I liked it a lot.
Okay, so now going into my other two ratings, and I think I did this for the Marvel Spider-Man 1, where it's my subjective rating where, I'm blinded by the love of Spider-Man and everything I ever have passion for with Spider-Man
Hmm.
versus what I felt like as an actual game, this is what it would give. Because as a reminder, for Marvel Spider-Man 1, I gave it subjectively a 10 out of 10. I think it's the best fucking Spider-Man game that has ever been created with the story, how it balanced the gameplay and everything. I think it was great. It was fantastic. That was subjectively. Objectively, as a game, it doesn't really do much out of the ordinary, which is why I think I gave it like an 8 out of 10 or
Hmm.
a 7, 8 or 9. It's up there, but it's like it was just okay as like as a game. Like the whole open world thing, it's nothing different, right? You go to this tower, you unlock part of the map. Oh, look, there's collectibles, and it's all Spider-Man centered, but like at the same time, it's not different. It's not new. So, it's a good game, but just it's not. I don't know,
I
unique enough
think,
or creative enough.
yeah, I think,
That's again Marvel Spider-Man 1, though. I'm talking about Marvel Spider-Man 1.
well, yeah, Spider-Man one. Like I think I really did love Spider-Man one. I think the only complaint that I have was that towards the ending, that's when we actually get like the bosses to come
Yeah.
out, and I felt like it was already like somewhat too late already, because after the whole Sinister Six, the wannabe Sinister Six, I'm not too sure because they don't even call themselves the Six, but after they all come in and introduce themselves, it's like nonstop bosses, and I felt like I couldn't really
Yeah.
digest each and every character, to enjoy them. It was just like, okay, I have to fight this guy right away. Fuck, like I wish there was a little bit more story into him.
Yeah, because once you get to the raft, and once like Mr. Negative is sent there, and then all hell breaks loose. It's like the final act basically, and
Yeah,
and like you said, it is like nonstop. There's no like breathing room, which I got to remember to bring this up again because they did something in Marvel Spider-Man 2, which I think was better this time around,
yeah.
where the pacing felt a little bit better in some parts where it allowed me to be kind of like Spider-Man, whereas opposed to like in Marvel Spider-Man 1, it was just go, 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 go. And it's like, oh crap, I still got all this other side stuff that I didn't get a chance to do. So yeah. Okay, so going back to Marvel Spider-Man 2,
Yes.
my subjective rating is actually lower than my objective rating.
Is it still a grain?
It's still up there, and
But
I'm gonna say this before I give my exact numbers. I I think as a whole, I very much enjoyed Marvel Spider-Man 1 more than I did Marvel Spider-Man 2.
really,
Yeah. So my
hmm.
subjective rating, I think for Marvel Spider-Man 2
If you gave
is
the first one an 8, what would you give this one?
well we oh so going back to my subjective.
Yeah, yeah.
My blinded love for Spider-Man. The first one I gave a 10 out of 10. This one, I think I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10.
As a Spider-Man fan.
as me being a huge Spider-Man fan, which I know like whoever's listening to this is always like he's not a Spider-Man fan. There's no way he didn't like this and this
No,
is but
no, guys,
I got my I got my qualms. I got my like
you have
my
your
it's
badge.
I have a lot of mixed feelings about this story.
Y-
But like my subjective point of view is
mhm.
an 8 out of 10. Objectively, I would give it a 9 out of 10.
Okay, and for the listeners out there, he is. I could honestly vouch for him that he is. I don't think there's any other diehard Spider-Man fan out there in the world that I have met besides Sal. That is the truth. His son is Peter Parker. He literally named his son Peter Parker.
It says on his birth certificate.
It says it on his birth certificate. I was there. I wasn't there as when he came out, but I was there at the hospital. And I saw it and everything. I promise you. But uh, I am surprised that you gave it this like you're giving it a little bit lower rating compared to the first one.
It didn't like because
And I
the
could
more I
see,
kept playing it,
yeah,
the more I kept playing it, and the more I kept thinking about it. I'm on my second playthrough, by the way. I'm not far into the second playthrough. I just wanted to I just really wanted to play the fucking intro again. That's why I started a
yeah.
second playthrough, and then I'm just kind of going through the story and kind of soaking it in. And there is one part in the story that really just like was jarring to me, which I get what they were going for, but it kind of ruined the momentum for me. And then
I think I
so much shit
know,
happened. So much shit happened towards the end where I'm just like, this is really cool,
but it's a
but
lot.
it's a lot, and it's like this is a very fan servicey game, but it's not like end game fan service where you built up this momentum and it just paid off in the end. This is like fan service of like, well, shit, we don't know how many games we're gonna actually do, so let's just throw all this shit in here
That's
just for the sake of it.
That's funny that you mentioned that is because like we are going to mention the ending. It's just I felt the same some type of way where I was like, if they're going to make a part three, how are you going to top this? Because I felt like this was like literally, you know what, like give them everything, fuck everything, go all out, boom, 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 and it felt that way.
So for you, do you have a different rating system, or are you just kind of like, here's my overall rating of the game? Like, what would you give Marvel Spider-Man 2?
Marvel Spider-Man 2, if I had to give, okay, for the first one, I would give it an 8 out of 10. I really did like it a lot. I really did enjoy it. I just didn't really like towards the end, like I mentioned, like the ending that, you have all these bosses now, and you couldn't really enjoy each and every one of them because everything was just fast paced. And some of the side quests, I felt like they were not as important compared to this game where I feel like the side quest for this game felt like connected with the main story. That's how I felt. I don't know about you. Like each every
Um,
side quest had its own cutscenes, it had its own moments. Like it felt like it was very like personal
okay, I can see that.
for me at least. That's how I see it. For this one, I'm gonna give it a nine out of 10.
Okay.
I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. Um, the reason why I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10, in the beginning of the game, are we gonna go full details or no? Not yet.
I mean, we can. I mean, we can break it section by section. I think the heaviest thing of why my rating is lower in general is just because of the story and what they decided to include with the story. So,
Right.
um, I don't know. Let's break it up here. Hold on. Let's focus on first of all. Let's just say gameplay, because gameplay is we're including the web slinging, we're including the gadgets, the skill
The
tree, all that
focus and
shit.
everything like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think gameplay wise, I think I do like this setup much better
More
than
the
in
first
Marvel
one.
Spider-Man 1.
Yeah. Me too.
I do miss the spin wheel, which is kind of like the Insomniac like stamp of like this is an Insomniac game, because I think in all of Insomniac games they always do the gadget wheel spin thing where
Yeah.
you have all these options, but I like that we were just kind of limited to just four. You had four gadgets and then you had
Yeah.
four powers.
Yeah. I felt like this was. I felt like there was a lot of things going on in the game, and I was very glad that they didn't add more things to what it already has. Like I like not once I was like, man, I wish I was able to substitute this gadget for another, like some different type of gadget. I was just very satisfied of everything that they added to the gadgets and all the other moves, especially that the what was it, the putting the enemies on the wall and you're kicking them rapidly. I really did
Yes.
like
Oh,
that move a
that was
lot.
that's like a skill ability I think that you get to unlock. But yeah, that's a lot of fun to use. But like the four gadgets though, like you have the one that lifts the enemies up. You have one that kind of ropes them all together.
Yep.
You have one that's like a concussion blast, which I mean, spoilers, you might want to upgrade that one first because that becomes extremely useful later on in the game.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
and then I forget what the last gadget is,
The
but I just
other one was
oh,
the shooting one, the shooting web.
oh, the ricochet web.
Yes,
Yes, which also is useful very much later on in the game. So, like, I felt like I used those gadgets a hell of a lot more than I
the
use, like,
spider.
on average, all the other gadgets from. No, I'm talking about from Spider Man 1,
Oh
all the
yeah,
other gadgets that I think you had like 6 or 7 different options, but I only ever remember using one or two of them. Where in here, I felt like I was using all of them at the right times and when it was needed. So
yeah.
I like that it was limited and that each one felt like it had an actual purpose to not just the gameplay or the side missions or the enemies or whatever, but just like to the kind of the story. I don't know. It felt like that to me. The
They
abilities,
shortened it, but in a good way.
yeah, the abilities. So the other section, the other four abilities, which for Spider-Man, it was like the mechanical arms. It was like lifting them up. For Miles, you had like the chain lightning, you had the ground pound,
Yeah,
the punch, and all that stuff. Then eventually, when you get symbiote Spider-Man, you get like the tendrils. Um, I like them. I don't think we had anything similar to the first Spider-Man game. I don't think there was anything like that. Not that I can remember.
I I don't remember the first one, but this one I use everything because I don't
I
know.
used
I
all the
liked it a
symbiote
lot.
ones, and I used all the Miles
Yeah,
ones.
the symbiote
I
ones,
wasn't
in
a
my
big fan of
opinion,
the
are better.
mechanical arms.
Yeah, the symbiote, in my opinion, saved like Peter's like abilities, in my opinion, because honestly, man, I liked Miles so much more than actual Peter.
Miles was a lot more fun to use just
Yeah,
because of the different like connect like combos you could pull with them. I think besides the chain lightning, one of my favorite ones was like the last one that you get, which is you electrify an enemy and like they get lifted up and I think like little sparks of lightning come out, but then you can slam the guy down and it creates like an electric terrain that shocks all everybody that's
everybody.
around him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Th-
So that one was really cool. That one was a lot of fun.
yeah,
The skill tree was a I felt like was a little in overwhelming at first. And I honestly didn't upgrade until kind of maybe more than a quarter way through the game. I think I had like 16 points to spend, and I was like, okay, I'll just start like going through and figuring
yeah.
out what I want. Um, it did feel weird, and I do recall this being brought up in a review somewhere, where it felt weird to like upgrade your point launch when that was something you automatically had, I think, in the first game,
Yeah,
where like you did your R2L2, you zip line to a point, but then you like do a boost. It just felt weird to like you had to unlock that when you already had it. So that was a little off
I
putting.
I have
Other than
one
that, I think I
thing.
like the skill tree better.
I have one thing about the skill tree. Um, I will agree with you that I felt like a little bit more overwhelmed. I was very overwhelmed when I first saw it, and I was like, okay, what's important first? But once I upgrade everything, I've only noticed little bits of couple of things of like, oh, okay, so this is the skill tree that I just upgraded compared to others where I was like, I don't really see the difference of what I was doing before and now.
Hmm.
So I felt
I
like the
know.
skill tree was a bit too large, and I think they could have shortened it, in my opinion, where you could have done a lot more important skills instead of just like the basic ones where you cannot really notice.
Yeah. Um, I felt more like that with the what did they call it? Is it just tech that they call it?
Oh yeah,
where it's
yeah.
like your health and
Mm-hmm.
your web shoot. Is it web
I think
shooting
it's called the
or
suit gadget. Suit gadget.
traversal?
I think
Yeah, it's like it's health,
suit tech. Yeah.
traversal, and something else.
It was, yeah,
And
it
like
was health, power, traversal, and oh my god, what was the other one? Something like
I don't remember
yeah,
the other one, but like I felt it felt weird to me sometimes when there was you get to a point when you're upgrading it and then it gives you two options and you have to choose one of them. And it's like it's kind of weird because like one that stuck out to me was like I think your focus increases more if you do more air combos.
yeah.
If but then the other choice is like your focus increases more if you do more combos in general. I think it's on ground or like I think you have to do like a +10 or whatever. And I was like I don't know what my style is gonna be, but I don't want to focus on just one. But I guess if I have to pick one, then I'm just gonna go with this. I don't know. The options were just kind of like weird in general, and then there's some of them were like just extremely different. I feel like there was one where it's the treasure map where it shows you like on your mini map the icons, which
The
like for instance like
gadgets. Yeah,
the tech parts, the spiders, the spider bots and things like that. But the other one was like had something to do, I think, with your rage bar or whatever they call it. Like I think it's your focus bar, but like when you hit R3 L3, I think it is like
yeah.
that whole thing. So I was like, I don't know which one I kind of want, and it's kind of like a weird choice because they don't relate. So I don't really know why I would want to choose one over the. I don't know. It just some of those options just felt weird. And
It
and
did
I
feel
didn't
weird.
hate them, but I felt like I don't know, there's more of like a stepping stone to something they might want to do. Like maybe they're just like testing out something to like what they want to add to a future game.
I agree with you on that one. Like everything that you just mentioned. Some of it just felt kind of weird, but I I think towards the end it balanced in the end. Everything else.
I think so. The we also didn't mention though, and this is probably the best part of the gameplay. The swinging is so much better in this game
Oh
than
my
in the
god,
first one.
yes, I 100% agree with you.
The inclusion of the web wings, which I thought were initially like is cool, but I was like, how are we actually going to be able to travel across the entire map? I never used fast travel once at all in this entire game. I was
Really,
just
I did.
I was no, I did not. I was enjoying web swinging and doing the web wings and going through the tunnels and just navigating through all that shit. Like to me, that was just so much fun and like the enjoyment of being Spider-Man to be able to go through these narrow passageways and try to find, ways to like do a sharp turn and all these things. Like it was just for me, it was a blast. So I never used fast travel once at all.
Mm, I I use fast travel. I just did it just to like, all right, like I don't feel like actual like swinging over there, even though like it's fun. Nothing against swinging, but I just did it just to be quicker. But it is a lot of fun to swing in this game, a lot more. There are moments. There is a side mission. I know we're gonna mention right now. It's the web wing. How did you
What
feel?
about what?
I did like the web wing. Like you're like I felt like Superman. Like you're just like flying, using like the webs to like guide you like while you're gliding in the air. There is a side mission where you're gliding, following like the robot
Oh,
birds,
the drones.
the drones. Yes, I did
Oh
like that a
yeah.
lot. And the whole entire time I'm playing, I'm like, man, this should be a fucking Superman game like this, man. Like, what the hell? Like, this is so much fun. But there's moments where I get caught in the wall. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you have to like ah man, yeah. Those were tough and fun because like there were a couple times I almost lost the trail just because I got hit and I felt like I the joystick was too sensitive. So when I tried to avoid the walls or something, I went too much far to the left or to the right, and I was like, oh crap, I got to find myself again and get back into the tunnel. And yeah, it was good though. I did enjoy those side missions, but more than I thought I would.
Me too. But this game has a lot of multiple things. You could swing around the city or you can glide. Both of them are fun.
Now, so gameplay is solid.
It's a green. It's a
Um,
10. I would give it a 10.
I guess, and this will have to be all over the place because the inclusion of Harry Osborn. Okay, so let's get into like the characters and the story of it.
Yes.
Um, Intro was great. Sandman, that whole ordeal was kind of cool how they incorporated it. I do love Craven. I'm seeing a lot of like mixed reception to Craven and like how they kind of like I don't know.
How they
People felt like
betrayed
they
him,
didn't
how
live
they
up
put.
to
Yeah.
it didn't live up to like the comic book version, which I going into again spoilers forever. This whole entire episode's spoilers. I found the family story very interesting, and
I
how
did
like
too.
he was like it didn't matter if they were family. He still kind of made like put them to the test and like try to hunt each other down and still like he has this obsession to be like the greatest hunter and he's always seeking for a challenge even within his own family, which I kind of wish we could have seen that visually as opposed to just hearing about it.
Thank you. I was thinking the same exact thing. They hinted, and you hear voice recordings, and it's like an intense conversation between like their kid, like Craven's kids and himself. Where I wish I was able to see more of that, like a fight against them or them invading the city.
Now, the other weird thing about Craven, even though I think the character was done extremely cool, I think the voice actor did a great job with him. I think the way that they made him very ferocious and threatening throughout the entire thing
He was
was
big.
very well done. What?
He was very big. Like he was a big guy. Like
Yeah.
really, really huge. I was like, holy shit, he's very intimidating.
His boss fights were fun.
Yes,
I like that like you had one thing that is well, maybe I'll bring this up again later. Boss fights have like different stages, but like with Craven,
it was the
his
same one.
stages were different. No, his were
This
different
was
each
different.
time.
I didn't sense it.
There was yeah, there's I think the first time you fight him, it's an open area, but then the second time
But the bell.
I think maybe it's more with the belt. I just remember going from an open area to then trees, and then he's using the trees to his advantage.
Oh yes, okay. Actually, oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna say that I enjoyed. I don't know if this is gonna be a negative. I enjoy fighting him, but not as Spider Man.
As Miles, do you fight him as Miles?
Yeah, you fight him as Miles, but no, you don't fight him as Miles, do you?
You only fight him as Spider Man or as symbiote Spider Man.
No, as Venom.
Oh, I I didn't like. Oh, okay, without like, just jumping really quick and then jumping back out.
Yeah.
I didn't like playing as Venom.
What?
I will get there. I didn't really like it, and I'll tell you why when we get there. But
Okay.
anyway, going back to Craven, the one thing that really stuck out to me, which is really weird, and like it sucks that I feel like either they're gonna save it for DLC or save it for the next game, but I feel like they won't really do it justice. The chameleon is in this game,
Yeah, and he's a
and
brother?
yeah, which was so weird. And at first, I thought when he said that line that he's like, it's like a friend calling a brother because they were both in the war together. But I don't think that's actually where it just stays. I think they're actually legitimately brothers, and it's just so weird because they're two very vast, like distinct personalities, but there's some sort of like weird blood connection between them. And so I kind of wish there was more to that conversation than what they let on.
Did they explain how Craven got his powers?
I
Or he
I'm
was just
trying to
born with it?
I don't think they actually explained it. I think I was waiting for them to like talk about a serum that he took, but I don't remember them bringing that up at all.
Like
I would have to
the only thing I remember was that when Peter went into his office, he did see some uh medicine or some serum
Oh, it was the flower.
that gave him strength.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Now I remember. Yes. So they didn't really go on to full detail explain. They kind of like I what I said about Marvel Spider-Man 1 still holds to also to this game. They still do a good job at just putting enough for you to fill in your own blanks for this game. Where like the best example I can come up with is Aunt May in the first Spider-Man game. There is not enough of Aunt May in that game to justify you actually being sad for her death. If you rewatch that game, just the cutscenes alone, there's not enough that Aunt May does to really give you the justification of like, holy shit, I should be upset about this. The only reason I feel like everyone gets so upset, even me, because when I replayed the game not too long ago, I did tear up because Aunt May we have known to be such a huge impact in Spider-Man's life and Peter Parker's life that we already know a story about Aunt May and our own interpretation of the game.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that justifies that death to us individually because we already have all that backstory.
Because they
The game doesn't
invested
have to
a
do
lot of time with
anything
Aunt
to
May,
fill in that
and
own blank for us.
yeah.
And so I feel like just like here, where we kind of know Craven's backstory, and they just do enough to just put little hints of like, oh, that's obviously how he got his powers. I already knew that. Cool that they included in here. So it's kind of along the same lines.
Oh, it wasn't. He got bitten by a lion.
I hate you.
Oh,
Um,
by the way, if anybody didn't get that joke, it's because the new Craven movie. He got bitten by a lion, and that's how he got his powers.
thank you. Oh shit, what's the actor's name? Quicksilver, whatever. Aaron Tyler Johnson or something like that.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
So okay, so then we got Craven, then we get Harry Osborn, kind of just like somewhat randomly thrown in. Like if you
I
played the first one, obviously you knew he was
I
coming.
have a rant
But sure, about Harry, go
about
ahead.
Harry. Yes, yes. I have a rant about Harry. Um, so Harry got introduced because this game takes place 2 years after the first one. He shows up out of the blue, fully cured because he had a sickness. They don't even mention what kind of sickness he has. He has something that's not even cancer. It's some other disease that his mother passed away from. And his father, Norman Osborn, is doing the best he can to find a cure. So in the end of the first, and what, mid credits or after credits, like you see Harry in this tank, and you see the symbiote attached to him. You know, so you already somewhat assume that he has the symbiote on him, right? And then later on, you find out, and he saves Peter from this, from this, fair or carnival thing that this ride was about to land on him. But the symbiote helps him, like pick up this heavy thing to protect Peter and whatever, and this and that, and blah blah blah. The biggest complaint that I have right now, and it has to do with Harry and Miles. And this is just the beginning. Somewhat the ending fixes it, but the whole entire time you find out that Harry has this power, and Peter is helping Harry how to control it, and Harry goes on mission with Peter. Okay, I don't like that they excluded Miles in the middle of the story just to add Harry to save a certain villain. In my opinion, I feel like Miles should have been there, and I feel like they just took Miles out just to add Harry, so you could see him use these powers. But I just felt like it just felt so like I don't I was just so out of it. I was like, Miles should be in here. I came to play as as Spider-Man, Peter Parker, and Miles. I want more time with Miles and Peter fighting together because when you're actually fighting together, it's, in my opinion, the most fun that I've had. It reminds me of Batman Arkham Knight when I'm with Nightwing and and Batman and everything like that. It just felt so odd with adding Harry, and he has this suit already and stuff like that. Like, come on, man, you have no experience, and now you have all these great experience of fighting and combat, and you have somewhat control of the symbiote. I don't buy into that.
Uh,
I
I agree and disagree. So like, I feel like the forced part of it was a early concept of Agent Venom, which I didn't quite like. Like Agent Venom, if you're not familiar with the
I'm not
comic
familiar.
version,
Yeah.
so Eddie Brock does eventually get like become what they call him, the lethal protector, where he starts using the Venom suit for good as opposed to bad. And in the comics, eventually the symbiote does take a different form, which is more like the version that you see in the video game, like the kind of like, I don't know how to call it, like more of warrior suit kind of version.
Yeah.
That's Agent Venom, and I feel like that part was forced just to be like, "Hey, do you remember seeing this? Does this look familiar to you guys? Because we're doing it. We're doing it from the comics. We're not doing the exact same thing, but hey, we just thought you'd think it would look cool." Which again, it did, but it just felt jarring to me to do that for Harry as opposed to like eventually saving that for someone else later on. I don't think it's weird that that he it's not Harry that is doing all of the action stuff. It's the symbiote that's doing it. And even then, what I liked about that whole mission, again contradicting what you're saying, is that Peter's trying to teach him how to be the hero. Like that's where
Yeah.
I felt like there was a missed opportunity. And I said this way before, like way early on when the game started getting teased and stuff. There's a missed opportunity where it would have been really cool for Miles to have the Venom symbiote and to kind of be the one to have this anger and this jealousy of like, well, why the fuck does Peter get to hang out with Harry all the time? Does he not have enough time for me? Which they kind of did start to do, but they didn't really capitalize on that.
It didn't
Because
capitalize it because, and also too, like Miles, like he felt bothered, but you didn't see the anger in him. Like there was no
right,
tension between them. It was just like, hey man, you forgot about me. But yeah, I let you do your thing. But I was sad. You love me?
yeah, I didn't think I didn't think they did that part enough to really like give us Miles' perspective on Pete being the symbiote. Like the fight scene, I think was very well done because there is a the final like I guess fight between you
Craven.
and symbiote and Craven. Yeah, is that you
Yes.
get to eventually then fight as you get to fight against Peter against symbiote Spider-Man, which was a really cool fight, an interesting
Oh
kind
no,
of
that was
like
awesome.
not
Yes.
twist, not a twist, but like kind of like okay, this was kind of expected, but I like how they built it up to this point. Um, but I don't think they did enough to really before the fight to build up the anger from Miles because the dialogue between them does address it. The dialogue between them in the fight does kind of like give Miles the chance to kind of vent and be frustrated and be angry and everything like that. But then he's going back to, well, this isn't really you, Pete. This is the suit talking, which kind of was a little bit annoying. But again, I don't know. Going back to the whole Harry thing, I think the superhero part of it was in fact forced. I don't think they did their dynamic wrong. I think the dynamic between Harry trying to figure out how to be a hero and then being with Spider-Man was done well.
Yeah.
But I don't think agreeing to some part of your point, I don't think they did enough with Miles to be like, this is anger, like this is making me angry, and I'm kind of pissed that you're hanging out more with him than actually helping me out with my
Did
problems.
you feel like Peter was kind of reckless in this game for revealing himself who he is?
So,
There was even a point I was like, wait, does Norman Osborn know that I'm Spider Man? Like Peter
yeah,
Spider Man? Because like I just felt like it was just like he constantly like he'll take off his mask like in open not in open public, but in areas where I'm like, yo, you shouldn't take off your mask like this, like, and you guys are too comfortable to talk about certain things around people where you don't even know who's listening.
simple answer is yes. It did bother me. I don't think as much as it bothered you, but yes, I did. It did kind of stuck out sometimes, and I'm just like, okay, I see what you're trying to go with, but I guess I'll ignore this. That's why I said this is a very fan servicey game, but not done well. Like there was not a lot of like good build up or good like this is the earned time for this kind of
Yeah,
thing. So
exactly. Hmm.
So okay, so we got the Harry Osborn, but I did like their flashback story. I did like that mission where you're going through
Oh, the high
the
school.
school, yeah, and then
Yes.
trying to get like the USB drive. I think that was a very well done like scene or mission to kind of help you connect to Harry and also like understand like the close friendship that Peter and Harry have.
Yes, I liked it too, and I even like some of the flashbacks with Peter, like with the Jonah, with the him riding the bike and everything.
Yep. Yeah. Sony does do those with those games where like it's the small stuff where you know it's not like anything impactful. It's not like anything that's like action packed and it's gonna be like this grand moment. It's like the small moments of like, oh, this is kind of cool to be a part of, and that I'm controlling this. It's what they always do with their first party games of like trying to get you involved with the character and let you like be more connected with the character. The games that stick out to me the most when it does that is like The Last of Us, where there's a lot of moments in the first and second game where you just do small stuff, but it helps you kind of connect more to the story and to the
Yeah,
characters.
it's impactful
So
stuff. How did you feel? And we're finally. I mean, I don't know if you want to get into the whole Venom thing. How did you feel about Harry being Venom?
it didn't bother me. Like him just becoming Venom in general doesn't bother me. What bothers me, and this is the part that stuck out like the sore thumb that was really jarring for me, that was like, What? Where did this come from?" was his anger with Peter because of Norman saying Peter is like a son to him. It felt so out of place, and not like there was no prior like hint that Norman saw Peter like that. Like yes, Norman acknowledges that Pete is Harry's best friend in the world and that they were very close, but nothing to hint that Norman saw Pete as like a son. So for that line just to be addressed like that and for Harry to conveniently hear it felt like they didn't know how to build the anger between the two because of how well established they did their connection about like being heroes together, that they were just like, well, this kind of worked out for the movie. Let's just go ahead and do it for the game, and hopefully no one realizes that we didn't really do anything to build up to this point.
That's kind of true, and also too, if Peter's almost like a son to you, how come he's still poor, man? Share the wealth. You know what I mean? Have you seen that mortgage? The fuck?
Yeah, 4,000. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it just because I get that there was some. I don't even know if it's jealousy because like Harry was getting like annoyed or frustrated that he didn't get the suit. He knows he needed the suit. And yes, Peter was like egging him on for the longest time because the suit was like really taking advantage of being part of Peter and just kind of like driving him away. And that was fine, but like it's like they didn't know how to go from 0 to 60 in less than like an hour, so they're like, "Ah, let's just throw the Norman line in here, and that'll speed things up." Again, that part is what really started to like, I don't know what you're trying to do with the story anymore because it just didn't feel natural.
I the way that I think I created my own story with Harry instead of what the game gave me. The way that I saw, the way that I see it, the way that I saw it. To be correct, um, Harry was very pissed off, annoyed that he is sick, and he felt that Peter was being selfish because he didn't want to
Yes.
give the suit back, and
Yeah.
him being and Harry, while Harry being sick, it confuses his mind of what was actually happening. Of like, no, Peter is the reason why I'm sick. Like he wants the suit for himself. I need the suit. This is mine. Like I gave it to you. How are you not going to give it back to me? You know,
Yeah, but that's the part I would have liked to seen expressed in the game. I feel like that is something that we have filled in our heads, but we
we didn't
didn't
get it.
see that natural progression in the game.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's
Now
that's
that you
what
mention
bothered
that,
me
yeah.
about him becoming Venom, because like, because what's also really jarring is that if you looked at Pete when he got the symbiote suit to when he ended the symbiote suit, the suit transformed. The suit evolved with him. Like it got angrier. You could see that there was more edges on the design of the spider and on his eyes. Like
Yeah,
it changed with him because he was getting angry and angrier.
I like
So
that
like
too.
you go from like that suit to like a big fucking like 9 foot tall monster. Like again, I get that there was the anger there, but like it just didn't feel natural for him to kind of look that way.
It was
Again,
just
that's a
meant to
stupid
be.
complaint, I feel like, but that's just what it just didn't seem right.
Yeah, it was just like, okay, time's up. All right, now time to see Venom. We don't have enough time to really wrap it up. Or
Mm, yeah, yeah.
pretty much, yeah. Like it's just like, oh,
So
you know what? We're gonna add Venom. Yeah, are you sure you don't want to write a little bit more? We could go back. No, 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 no. It's already too far. Just turn the son of a bitch.
so before we get to the Venom part, Mary Jane was so much better in this game than in the first one.
Yeah, she wasn't annoying actually. She was actually
She did
some.
shit.
She did shit. She has a cool gun. This game became a third person shooter that I had fun with, and yeah,
Although my complaint though with Mary Jane, and I won't get into the story complaint yet, but well, well
I want
to the character transformation yet.
I want to
The
know
my
your opinion about that.
well, let me just get to the one thing where I kind of like I saw it coming, and in my head I was like, I hope this doesn't happen. I hope this doesn't happen. Where she becomes part of like the final chapter, where it's like the three of them are planning like this big like, okay, this is how we're gonna take down Venom, and you have to play as Mary Jane to become part of like that final trio, which I just didn't. I don't know. I would have preferred not to play Mary Jane in that last part. I
I
would have just preferred to stuck to Spider Man.
Yeah, it's just like, hey, I got this far playing as Spider Man. I've only played maybe only one time with you. I deserve to play at these two towards the end, not you. No offense.
Yeah,
Even though
yeah,
they did you better, but no offense. I'd rather not play as you because I felt like that mission took a little too long in my
agreed.
opinion.
Yep.
But
Okay,
the
so the
transformation,
Venom part.
yes,
The Venom. When all is said and done, classic Spidey symbiote gets pulled off, rips from the chest and everything, just like we get from the comics slash cartoons. Very cool. It gets.
very
Oh, we got to
emotional.
talk about the side missions too. Eventually, we'll get to that after.
Yes, yes, because I
Um,
have a
it
lot
gets
to
caught
say.
into a jar. The jar gets broken, and then Harry gets the Venom suit, and then he becomes Venom, and then just like god, there's another game that did this where you got to play, oh, just like Halo 2, where all of a sudden you play as the Arbiter on like the second or third mission. Oh, in this game you get to play as Venom. They were like, how much more fan service can we get? Everybody loves Venom, right? Well, let's let you have your chance to play as Venom. Just so that in case it's not clear, it's not that I don't like Venom. Venom is not in my like top probably five villains of all time for Spider-Man. I do like him being like kind of like being the anti Spider-Man where he's a lot stronger, he's a lot like more aggressive. I think it is a cool concept, and I especially like the horror aspect that comes with the Venom suit. But like I don't know how people will come at me about my perspective of Venom. That whole mission where you're playing as Venom, if you didn't get to play as Venom, I would have liked that bit a hell of a lot more. Here's why I don't like the Venom part where you got to play as Venom. It has nothing to do that you're playing with as a villain. I think that's a cool idea, but you do the same fucking three moves over and over and over
Yeah,
and over and over and over and over and over again. If you're gonna have me play as a villain, let me do some cool villain shit in a variety of ways that does not make this character boring to me.
like at least let me eat the cat, like eat the people. Like what the fuck?
I just felt like it was so redundant. I was excited for like the first 5 seconds of like, cool, I do this 3-hit combo. What else can I do? Oh, I can look to the right and do this 3-hit combo. What else can I do? Let me look behind me and do this 3-hit combo. There was nothing exciting
But did you
about
do
playing as
the
Venom.
did you do the L1 triangle and then the three head combo? It's pretty good.
I I hated it. It's just so boring. And then they try to spice it up with like, oh, you get to bite the villain or you get to eat the missile and throw it back. But it's just like I don't have the freedom or like the combo connecting like I do with Spider-Man and Miles. I felt like you playing as Venom was way too long for what they gave you. It should have been just really short. Actually, you know what? It could have just been left to the boss fight.
Yeah, I think honestly, I think you did a three hit combo way too much. You should have done a two hit combo. It would have changed. You know.
That's my complaint with the Venom part. I
Um.
liked it as a story beat. I think
Yes.
it's cool. I think the boss battle between you and Craven is a cool concept, but the gameplay to Venom is so boring, and it just was like, I just want this done and over with. Get me back to Spider-Man, or even Mary
How
Jane for this matter.
how did you feel of Venom killing Craven?
Uh I liked it. I don't have any qualms with it. And did the good
Hmm.
old fashioned. I'm gonna eat someone's head off, which I mean that's a Venom thing to do that
Yeah.
people know from comics and or I think a cartoon attempted to do something similar to it.
Yeah,
Um,
from the
so
movies.
I think it was great. I think it was done right. I liked it.
I
I like
liked it
again
too.
as a whole story beat. It was great.
I liked it too. I really did enjoy it. And this is the part that I'm trying to say is that I you find the Venom thing like somewhat boring. I somewhat enjoyed it, and especially fighting Craven. I enjoyed I enjoyed playing Venom fighting Craven more than I did with playing as Spider Man.
Oh, I 100% disagree with you on that. You are wrong in every sense of the way.
I don't think I'm
The
wrong.
fight, playing the fight is so boring as Venom than it is with playing as Spider Man, and especially with Miles. Like, no,
I
no.
I somewhat kind of like I don't know. I enjoyed it. I'm not saying that neither were bad, but I felt like I had a lot more fun playing as Venom fighting Craven. This is the
You're
reason
sad.
why. I think it's because of the story log, the conversation that Craven was having with Venom, right? Saying that
Mm-hmm.
you are my greatest hunt that I've ever had in my
Sure.
life, and
Mm-hmm.
Venom made him feel like trash. You are nothing but a tiny, puny human, and
Okay.
Craven felt some type of way, and you feel like you hear the disappointment that he has in his voice of like, no, you're lying. I'm the best thing you have ever fought in. And of course, towards the end, he's like, okay, thank you for killing me, but it's like, mm, you're just saying that just to make yourself feel better. But in reality, Venom doesn't give a fuck about you.
I don't disagree with anything you're saying. Again, as a story beat, it is great. It's good. But I don't like playing as Venom. It's just I don't like if you gave me more combos to do where I feel like I really am beating the shit out of Craven, I probably would have loved it a lot more. But if I'm just doing the same three fucking hit combo again and again and again, it's literally punch, twirl, slam. Punch, twirl, slam. And then I don't even get the satisfaction of like sending out a tendril and lifting Craven and slamming him to the ground. It's the same punch, twirl, slam. It is so boring, and I just wish I didn't have to do that part. I just wish you gave me more to do as Venom to make me feel like I am an ultimate beast,
I think you should do
not
this.
just
Next
a
time
3-hit
is
combo.
punch,
I
jump,
hate you. I hate you. I
twirl,
hate you.
jump,
I hate you.
slam. That'll be better, man. 10 out of 10. You know? Okay, so now let's talk about another transformation that happened in this game. I
So yeah,
somewhat
once Peter, go
yes.
ahead. Go ahead.
I okay. So there is a part of there's a part of the story where Venom, Harry, go visits Mary Jane, and Peter's on his way to go save Mary Jane. Venom transforms Mary Jane to Scream.
I don't like it.
You don't like it?
I don't like it. It is such a so obviously forced way of putting in another fan favorite character. There's no justification for it. That's not even like the original concept for Scream. Like the only thing that they did Scream besides actually the visual part of it, like the design,
I don't
very
think
well done.
I don't think she
But they didn't
screamed.
like really capitalize on her actual like I'm gonna scream and shout and make you like have your ears bleed. Like it was like so babied in the fight that I felt like the fight was a little bit like boring. I did like that the setting change for each stage of the boss fight.
Hmm.
It did start to kind of feel like it was dragging a bit towards the end,
Man, those houses are strong. I need to find those people who build those houses because you're getting slammed by them and they're not even making a fucking dent.
but along with the Agent Venom concept, that felt forced and this felt forced. There was no earning that. There was no need to make her like the character scream. I felt like they could have changed her to any other symbiote and still would have been okay and maybe shortened the boss fight a bit and that would have felt better than making her an iconic character and not really utilizing the character to the fullest of its ability.
How would have you felt if the side mission of the flame Yuri becomes Scream?
I'm trying to think now if it because if I say yes, I had to think is it just because I don't like the Mary Jane character, which is not that's not true because I do like the Mary Jane character better in this game than I did in the first one.
I just felt no. It's not because I'm saying that of like who do you
No,
prefer
I know, but I'm trying to figure
um,
out if I were to say yes. I think I would have liked it better if Yuri was Scream.
instead of Mary Jane. And I'm going.
Because because like oh man, there was something else in here.
You're well. We have of course the leader, the cult leader of the
Yeah,
flame.
let's get to that. Let's get to that one later. Let's
Okay,
get
okay,
to that
okay.
one later.
But I think the
But
reason
I think I would have definitely liked Yuri better as Scream because
she has more
oh,
motivation.
more motivation, and she already has this hatred for Parker anyway. So it kind of makes sense for her to have more rage than it does for Mary Jane, who's like, I'm upset that I only sold 14 books and that no one likes me. Man.
You don't pay attention to me. You don't even take me out to Starbucks or even Books a Million. I really wanted to go to that Taylor Swift concert, but you broke ass couldn't fucking afford it, you
I was
motherfucker.
just thinking that. I was literally just thinking that. Yeah,
But
it was like a whiny version of the Scream character than what it really should be.
I think I
So
kind of like the dialogue. I think that's the reason why I like that
the,
boss fight, and
the dialogue is good. I will give it that. The dialogue and
it was
like
very
the
emotional.
relationship development between the two, yes, it's emotional. It capitalized on their weaknesses, like as characters and as strengths and everything. Like I think it was done very well.
I don't
I
even.
just don't think the character was done very well because I think it was just forced.
Now
They
that
were
you
trying to
mention
find a
that,
forced way to do it.
now that you mention that, like us talking about it, I enjoyed the dialogue more than the actual fight. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing.
No, no, I can agree to that. I could probably say the same.
Because
I'll
I
have to think
just
about it during my second playthrough, but I think yeah, I think I could agree to that.
that's but the actual fight, if the dialogue was not there, I will probably will tell you like I actually agree with you. I think the fight was somewhat kind of boring, or not boring, but like just the motivation of going towards like with Scream versus Spider Man, like it felt forced.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to really react. I was like, damn, they're really gonna make her turn into Scream.
But then
I thought
along the same lines,
Scream was
and
supposed to be like
and
a
the
psychotic woman.
right. But now along the same lines, and now we transition to our next kind of like out of the blue, but they did it anyway because of fan service. I think the lead up to this thing was cool when we get Miles reforming Mr. Negative to be a good character and like trying to help Miles journey through Peter's mentality to be like, holy shit, this symbiote thing still has like a mind control fuck with him. How are we going to get Pete out of this? We need to rescue him. But then once they do that, once they get to the heart of the symbiote within him, all of a sudden now Peter Parker is anti Venom.
Ah, I liked it.
No, I did not. I think it's cool that you get to play as it. I think it makes sense for the story, which, but at the same time, I also hate it for the story. I'll explain in a second. But again, it just felt like so forced. It felt like you were trying to capitalize on every Venom related thing because you just weren't sure you're going to have another game for whatever reason. I don't know why you would think that. But you're like, oh, we're going to do Venom. Let's just do everything that we can think of that's Venom related. Even doing the god of like the symbiotes, like hinting towards that, the spiral thing is what for if people don't know in the comics, especially recently, they reveal that there is like a sort of god or like a supreme being of the symbiotes, which I think his name is Null or something like that,
Hmm.
where he's got like these devilish wings and he looks more evil and everything. So they hinted towards that in the game, which is fine. Leave it towards the hint. That's okay. That's cool. But again, going back to my point of they just introduced everything possible with Venom. That like the only thing they didn't do was put Eddie Brock into this game. The one venomous thing that you could add into any Venom storyline, they were like, let's leave that one out. We don't need Eddie Brock. It just felt forced. I think the concept was cool. That how they kind of went through his mentality and changed him and changed the symbiote for good. But like, so he doesn't need the actual symbiote? The symbiote's just there? Like, how does that make sense?
I didn't understand that either um when this guy, the lizard, was saying you still have some symbiote in you because once you have it, like once the symbiote like gets on you and once you take it out, it's still attached to you. Like you still have some like leftover HIV shit. Like I don't know, like some type of sickness. That's the way that I saw it. I was like, wait, so is it really in there? And then he became anti Venom. I thought it was cool. I love the suit. I had a lot of fun playing
Yeah,
as it.
sure.
It was really
Yes.
awesome. But I didn't
I
understand that.
just don't think it was justified.
Do you think like well, we're finally like saying like I think we both agree that in the end they went all out, and I'm wondering if this is going to bite them in the ass for the third game.
I think they did too much. That's why I don't like subjectively for me, again, a hardcore fan of Spider-Man, whether people disagree with me or not, they did too much. And I don't know what is it with people in this franchise that just want to do 1,000 things in one like movie slash game. Why do we need three villains in a fucking third movie? Every single friend, like who doesn't matter if it was Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, Tom McGuire, they always fuck it up by doing way too
I
much.
felt
And to
Lizard
me,
was
I felt
so
like Marvel
weird.
Spider-Man 2 just fell so short of Spider-Man 1 because they just did way too much. And I just like I don't know why like they had this fear that they'll never get to I get they want to address all these parts because as a fan it's cool. Again, very fan servicey game, but none of it feels justified. None of it feels like it was built up.
It
If I'm and if
it
I'm
just
being
happened.
honest, I feel like and this is kind of like segueing, but I don't want to get into the conversation. The cult leader, the Flame, that whole thing was done way better than the Venom storyline shit. I felt like.
That was crazy. I was not expecting the whole leader thing. Like I had it in back of my head. I said, man, it would be kind of crazy if this leads to this because how are they going to introduce Craven? I mean, on Carnage, and boom, we find out that the Flame leader is Cletus Cassidy.
From the first mission, I was like, well, it can't be Firefly or whatever they call. What's the Batman villain? Is it
Yeah,
Firefly?
Firefly. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, that can't be Firefly because that's the wrong franchise here. We're in a whole different universe. Can't be that. And I'm trying to think, okay, can't be Pyro. They're not going to do X-Men just yet. Like, I'm thinking in my head, like, every villain I could possibly think of that may have interacted with Spider-Man. I'm like, I don't see anybody with flames. Who the fuck is this guy? And then, like, he starts to become more psychotic. I think the second time, or like the first time you actually get to hear him talk
Yeah,
and introduce himself. And I'm like, well, they're not saying his name. It'd be kind of crazy if he becomes Carnage, and like they don't like. In my head, I'm thinking like maybe he does become Carnage. He's just not Cletus Cassidy. Just like how Venom is not Eddie Brock, it's
yeah.
Harry Osborn. So it's some different, maybe original character. And then they do that final flame mission where he then is revealed to be Cletus Cassidy as like an alias. Like he goes by apparently different names, and one of them is Cletus Cassidy, and he gets a hold of the symbiote, and that's when I was
And
like,
it turned red.
holy shit, like this part was done so much better than like the transformation for Scream or being anti-Venom. I honestly like the Cletus Cassidy, that whole like missions, like whether it's referred to as a side mission or
Hmm.
not, that whole thing was done way better, I think, than the final act of Spider-Man 2.
So, quick question then: where do you think they go from here? Do they make Carnage a side quest storyline
I don't
or a
know, and
main quest?
that's what freaks me out. So I'm gonna bring that up again because we got to talk about the post credit scene shit. But let's talk.
Yeah.
Let's finish up the ending of the game itself.
Okay.
Um, the whole, symbiotes take over the whole fucking city, which then all over social media, people are be like, "Where the fuck are the Avengers during this
Yo,
thing?"
for real.
Which true. Like, if you have the Avengers Tower, where the fuck are the Avengers? Like what's going on here?
I kind of.
Regardless, I think it's cool. I think it was like an interesting take on like it was reminiscent of the game Web of Shadows, which was a very cool game. It was one of my favorite Spider-Man games. That whole game, all the symbiotes are taking over. You're fighting nothing but symbiotes. You're changing between Spider-Man and symbiote Spider-Man. It was a much like upgraded version of that. I like the different Venom enemies that you got to defeat. Again, if you're gonna upgrade any gadget, make sure you upgrade the Sonic Burst one, because not only does it like do the sound thing, but like if you upgrade it to the max, it like releases like I think their arrows are just extra sonic bursts that like go on the floor. So like if a symbiote was to go over it, they also get affected by it. So it
Yes.
has like a wider radius. So very good to have. Also, the ricochet one is a nice upgrade because it helps knock out the green ones really fast, since those only take one hit and like they get taken down. The ricochet ones are very easy to clean those up with. um I think that whole part is cool. um I liked Miles' new suit at the end of it. I don't know, Mike, if you're on the social media bandwagon of everyone fucking hating that suit. I kind
Oh,
of dig it.
Miles.
Yeah.
I didn't mind it. I just wanted a more answers of like, okay, the blue thing that's on his suit, does that give him more, a little bit more electricity, or does it help him control electricity?
Okay. Like a more explanation to the suit as to why he built it that
Yeah,
way.
like why
Yeah,
he
I can
built it.
see
Like
that.
it's not that I hated it. Like I thought it was okay. It's not the best suit of the game. I'll say that much. But I didn't mind it. Like I didn't change it right away. If anything, oh my god, people are gonna fucking cancel me once I say this. And I don't mean it in a bad way, you guys. Hey, I'm Hispanic. I felt like the Puerto Rican suit was kind of corny.
Yeah, that's fair.
I questioned that one more than the actual Endgame suit, but
Yeah.
that's just me. Like I understand that Miles is part Puerto Rican, but in the end of the day, he's a Sabo kid, so he's not really Puerto Rican. But hey, that's just me. That's just me. Don't cancel me.
I just been noticing that social media, everyone's been fucking hating that suit for some reason. They think it looks atrocious. Think it looks garbage. I don't know why exactly, because I think it fits Miles' style.
It fits Miles' style, but the thing is that I have one question of the suit besides the blue thing, like to more explanation. Um,
Can they identify him by his hair?
yes, exactly. Exactly. I was like, dude, like your hair. You know what? Keep on doing your thing, man. Nobody's gonna
I
know.
mean, if people can't identify Superman without without the glasses, I'm pretty sure they're okay not identifying Miles with the hair.
But like, okay, you know what? You're right about that. Fuck it. I cannot argue with that shit. But like, come on, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
True.
can you imagine like some guy like just walk like Spider Man's just walking by like Miles, as Spider Man swinging, and some random guy, hey, what's going on, Miles? I mean, yeah, Spider Man, yeah. You're no, you're not Miles at all. I did not just cut your hair. Yeah, his barber.
Unless the hair is part of the mask.
Oh, is it a week now? Oh my
Maybe.
god. Okay, moving on. So
The final fight between Spider-Man, Miles, and Venom. Um, I liked it,
my game
but if I'm being
crashed.
but if, oh, my game crashed way too many times throughout the playthrough.
Yeah,
Um, if I did like it, but if I'm being completely honest, it dragged way too fucking long.
it was long. Like
I'm like, okay, cool, Venom. All right, beat him. Oh, okay. Venom again. Okay, all right, because I'm playing as Miles. All right, cool. Beat him. Oh, I'm playing against Venom again? Why?
beat him,
Beat him, sure. Oh, he's got wings now.
beat him.
I have to beat him again? Okay. And, like, it's not even that. Like, they all have their stages, too. So it's like, you have, like, I think it's like 3 or 4 phases of battles of Venom. But even then, within their own phases, there's like 3 phases to go through. And I'm like,
So
this is getting too
I
much.
didn't like going against Venom when I was Miles because I literally just waited until he threw that rock or whatever, and I just tossed it back.
Oh, yeah, I think so. I can't remember if there was also like you had the sound wave things that I just kept using all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it just felt a little bit easier. I felt like fighting as Peter. Okay, okay. Actually, you know what? This is
Oh,
another thing. Fighting as Peter against Venom, and you're having the anti Venom suit. I felt like it was supposed to make you feel different when you fight him. I didn't feel anything different except for me using the abilities. But even that, like
yeah.
alone, just didn't feel satisfying.
You brought up something that I did not like that the game did not include was that you never really got to fight Venom as Spider-Man. Like red and blue Spider-Man.
You're right. No, you couldn't. You
You
just had to
never
change the costume.
I hate you.
I mean, I'm not wrong.
You know what I mean? I wanted I wanted the fight to not be like an even playing field. I wanted to feel disadvantaged and figure out how to use my environment to like get the get the upper hand on Venom. Even if I were to lose at the end of it, I still wanted to feel like I was Peter Parker Spider-Man figuring out how to take down this symbiote by using like the Scream. Okay, so as much as I don't like Scream character, the fight I think was more interesting than the Venom fight because you had the car alarms that you could use. There were like trucks with like the pipes that you could bang on as well. Like there were things that you could use to at your advantage to take down Scream faster. Yes, there were certain sound things in Venom, but it didn't feel as like rewarding as it did in the Scream fight.
Hmm.
So that's kind of like I think the Venom fight was very epic, but like I would have liked to have beaten Venom as regular old Spider-Man than symbiote anti-Venom Spider-Man.
I agree with you. I would have liked that. Like I would have liked like you know what? I don't need your sickness to defeat you. I have family.
But I think that's what they try to do with Miles. Because I think the last time you fight Venom is with Miles, and Miles doesn't have the symbiote. Now, be it he's got electrical powers, so that's kind of like a cheap cop out. But still, it's again going back to what it means to be Spider-Man for me is that like you are always going to be at a disadvantage, but what you do with outsmarting your opponent, being resourceful of your environment, thinking your way through these problems and finding a solution, like that is all part of being Spider-Man. And I just felt like I didn't get that with this particular fight. I don't know why it felt more rewarding with the Doc Ock fight. Maybe because the storyline between them was more personal, which is kind of hard for me to say now that I said it out loud, because you are beating up Harry, but it just didn't feel, I don't know, it just didn't feel the same. I didn't get the same like vibe with that fight than I did with the Doc Ock fight.
With the Doc Ock fight, definitely felt emotion, like very like emotional. This one I felt the same way too. Like like Harry, like Peter's holding, trying to not to kill Harry, and he's begging him to fight to come back. And I felt the emotions a lot in this fight.
I think the ending cutscene, I felt the emotion. I felt the same way I did with the Aunt May thing, where like I feel like this part isn't as justified as it should be, but because I know how connected the characters are and I know how important this person's like is their this person impacts Peter's life, like I get the emotion behind it. And so it did get to me when he's like, when Harry's about to die, like, or they thought he was dead or whatever. Like, yeah, like that part was good, but I just feel like the fight just didn't have the same sentiment as the Doc Ock one.
Hmm. I I liked it.
Hmm. Agree to disagree. Um, I kind of find it upsetting that we didn't get Green Goblin, although it kind of makes it lead to be like Green Goblin might be the next villain up.
I agree with you. I thought we were gonna get like a hint of Norman trying out the serum and become Green Goblin towards the end. Probably would have maybe seen like I don't know, like something like him turning, and then I don't know, cutscene.
Well, at one point, I thought they were going to give the serum, like the Green Goblin serum, to Harry early on in the game, and that the Venom suit would go on to Craven, and he becomes Venom,
I
and now
was
we have a Green
glad
Goblin
that
in there.
Craven didn't get it.
I think I would have liked if Craven. It makes more sense for Craven to get it and become that beast than it did for Harry.
Really?
It makes more sense aesthetically and I feel like
Or
logically.
what about Norman?
If it got to Norman, no, that wouldn't make any fucking sense at all.
Yeah, like you're my
No,
son. Oh my
no,
god, I have a
no,
sick child named Harry. He's a piece of shit. Ah!
no, no,
No.
no. It's just upsetting that we get the tease of the suit and like the weapons in the first game, and then we get no like tangible tease in this game. The closest we get is he wears green a lot in the game, and that he's like going into rage mode and talks about the G serum at the end of the game, and that's it.
Hey, green is his favorite color. You know, that's his favorite shirt.
Oh well, then 10 out of 10.
Hell yeah. And then, he visits Doc Ock, and then he asks Doc Ock, well, hey, what are you writing? The final chapter. And then he closes the book, and then boom, credits.
So that's where like I'm trying to think where they're going with this, because
Sinister
yes,
Six?
no, I don't think so. I think I almost want to argue they're going to go the Superior Spider-Man route, because
Please
that's the
explain.
you don't you, have I not talked about Superior Spider-Man before?
Nope.
Oh my god. Like if we're talking about one of the best like Spider-Man storylines, despite what people think of the author, the Superior Spider-Man storyline is one of the best storylines hands down in all of Spider-Man history. So in at one point in the Amazing Spider-Man run, Doc Ock manages to mind swap with Peter, where Peter ends up being in Doc Ock's like body, which is dead, like it's old and is rotting, and Doc Ock essentially like dies at some point. But then Doc Ock's mind gets to live on in Parker's body. So then we get an entire series where it's Doc Ock becoming Spider-Man and learning what it means to be Spider-Man. And in every way possible, he is a better Spider-Man. He's not afraid to like kill enemies if he has to. Like if it's gonna cost someone's life, he's not afraid of taking down the enemy at all costs to make sure that person lives.
Really?
He is able to go to like manage his personal life better. He's got a good relationship. He's able to finish his PhD. Like he does everything that Peter was trying to do and like actually ends up doing it. However, one of the greatest parts of this series is that it reminds you why Peter threw back the punches. Why does Peter end up choosing like, saving these lives instead of completing his coursework or whatever? Like why does he choose to sacrifice all these things that would have been beneficial for him to for the greater good of things? Like it was such a cool concept to see Doc Ock come to the understanding and realization of like, holy shit, even though I'm balancing my life better than Parker, it's coming at a cost of eventually my relationships are ending. Eventually, like all this reward and everything won't mean anything. Like he ends up realizing that Peter Parker is actually the better Spider-Man because of the choices he makes, because of the sacrifices he makes, because of everything that he chooses, whether even though like it may cost the villain's life, like that may be better to taking the villain's life than to saving it, but we don't know the backstory of that villain or like with the context behind it and why the villain does what he does. That's why Parker pulls his punches when he's trying to take down villains because he doesn't think to kill. He thinks of, having that sort of like, back end of why are you doing this? Let me help you. So not only is he trying to save the person that the villain may be attacking, but he's also trying to save the villain himself as well. And like
Mm.
it's such a cool like ending to that series of like realizing that Doc Ock then just like, you know what, Parker, you had this right the entire time. Let me fix this, and they do mind swap back. And one of the coolest, like, oh man, my favorite comic panel out of that, Green Goblin is like overtaking this entire city and like is trying to take down Spider-Man and everything, and he knows that it's Doc Ock in the suit, and that he's going after everything that Doc Ock was basically earning and everything, like especially his girlfriend at the time.
Yeah.
And after the mind swap goes back, Green Goblin is like teasing Spider-Man or whatever, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna rule this city, and you're gonna go down with it." And then good old fashioned Parker Wit comes back with something along the lines of, um, but are they gonna take you seriously with a purse like that? And then like it's like a perfect panel of like Goblin's eyes of realizing like, holy shit, you're back. And like he's like, oh man, I'm fucked. And like it's such a good storyline. Like if anyone asks me to recommend a Spider-Man storyline,
How
if they already know
many?
Spider-Man, I always recommend that
How
storyline.
many issues? 33, right? They had.
Yeah, it's not really long. Honestly, it's like really 30, and there's like a couple of extra issues they added in later because of the whole Spider-Verse story.
Got you. Because I'm looking at like a couple like issues, and so far I see like 33 issues. I want to read it.
It's really good. There are a couple filler issues, but I think overall as a whole, one of the best storylines hands down. And I think that's where they're going with this next game. Is if they're going to continue to be fan servicey, I think that's what they're going to attempt to do. Is that Doc Ock is trying to figure out how to take down Spider-Man, and the only way he knows how is to become Spider-Man. Basically, is to get rid of Peter Parker and be Peter Parker.
Man, I wonder what they're gonna do with Miles.
Well, that's not the only problem. So now we're kind of wrapping up everything. Not only do they have Gadaka coming back, not only do they have Norman, are we gonna actually get the Green Goblin, or are they just kind of fucking with us at this point? Not only do we have Carnage out and about, but then we get the post credit scene. I don't know if this was the first one or the final one, but they introduced Cindy into the game.
Yes. Just in case if anybody doesn't know who Cindy is, who is she?
She is Silk from the comics. She is essentially in original Sin number 4, I think it is, or the original Sin storyline from the Amazing Spider-Man run. It is revealed that the spider that bit Peter Parker, that spider ended up biting another person, who then ends up being like sheltered her entire life because she, I guess, was aware of her abilities early on. I think if I remember correctly, the parents or her family didn't know how to handle, and she was just then closed off from the world and just living in a literal shelter for the majority of her life. And so that is Cindy. I think it's Cindy Moon. I feel like I'm making up Moon part wrong, up, but I think it's Cindy. Definitely, the first name is Cindy, and she is Silk from the comics. So now they're adding in another Spider character, not Spider Gwen, mind you, which is another worry because I feel like if they're going to continue the fan servicey shit, they're gonna add Spider Gwen somehow. But now we're just getting too many things thrown in. It was a cool Easter egg, a cool nod. Like if you got it, you got it. Like, oh my gosh, it's Cindy. But then like I'm thinking they're fucking convoluting everything at this point. Like they're doing what every Spider-Man series does. They do too much.
Do you think it's because the next game is going to be the final Spider game for Insomniac? Because after that, they're going to focus on, well, they already are focusing on Wolverine, and they did announce that Wolverine is part of the Spider-Man universe. So do you think like for overall as a Spider-Man story, the next one is going to be the last one, and maybe we might get a crossover of Wolverine and Spider-Man?
I think what probably will end up happening is that we're gonna get a Spider Verse story.
Ooh, because we did get a little Easter egg in this game. If you collected
Yeah,
all
one
the
of
spider
the
bots, you actually open a portal of the multiverse.
Yep. And we get the bartender, which I don't know if she was a character from the movie. I
I
kind of
don't remember
recognize her, but
her.
I kind of don't. But she ends up mentioning Miguel. We do know that the Marvel Spider Man is in the Spider Verse movie. So there is eventually some lead up to that. There is some connection there. Like that Peter Parker does end up going or getting recruited by Miguel O'Hara. So we have that tease to kind of at least bridge that gap. So that's why it makes me think of like, oh shit, all right. Well, they already have Parker, they already have Miles. They've established this relationship. We're getting the Spider-Man like, oh, I'm not going to be Spider-Man anymore. Like Miles, you're taking the mantle. But then we get Cindy thrown in and it's like, okay, well now we're adding more Spider characters and I feel like if you're a company and you want to do fan service, you're going to add Spider-Gwen. I think they're gonna just end up doing some sort of Spider Verse story, but it gets too messy just thinking about it because again, we have Doc Ock, we have Green Goblin, we have Carnage. We don't know what the DLC is like, but I'm not extremely hopeful for it because the DLC for the first game was better as a whole in all three parts as opposed to individually. And but it still didn't feel like it did a whole lot to add on to the game. So I
I
don't.
uh, I have a theory that they're going to add a DLC to the game, but I think it's going to finish with Craven's family.
No, I don't. I think they're dumb. Well, okay. I can somewhat agree with you in the sense if we're just talking about the chameleon. I think if they do the three parts like they did the last one, where I think one was about Black Cat, one was about Hammerhead, and then like the last one was focused on Yuri, but you still kind of closed off all three character lines. I think this one will kind of follow the same suit where we'll get one DLC about probably Cletus, one storyline about Black Cat again, because they didn't really do anything with that character. They hinted that she has a relationship, but is that really true? I don't, Black Cat ends up lying a lot, so who knows? So I think we'll get another Black Cat DLC. And then I don't know. I don't know what ends up being the final part of that DLC. I think Carnage will be the boss fight for that DLC, but I
That'll be
don't.
awesome. I would have like maybe like hopefully they don't charge a full price game just for the Carnage story, but like a
But then,
DLC.
but then the other question then becomes: do they do a second Miles Morales game and save one of those storylines for that one?
I like what you're thinking.
So I don't know. Again, it's too much, and that's why I think I like the first one as a whole better than I did like the second
I'll
one.
be
The
upset.
second one was really cool. I
Yeah.
liked a lot of individual parts to it. I feel like a lot of it wasn't justified. I feel like a lot of it was forced just for fan service. Yes, they were cool in isolation. Anti Venom, cool. The Scream character, cool. Playing as Venom, cool. but I felt like there was so much more I had negative thoughts about than I did positive with those things.
I want the next game that you play as a Yankee. We need to
It'd
know
just
what
be a
he
bunch of
does.
computer hacking missions.
Listen, I need him to start sneaking through offices and taking risks. All right, time to be a man.
They're terrible.
I'll be kind of upset if they do a Miles Morales 2 and the main villain for that one is Carnage
Mm,
because
I don't
Peter's
know.
not going to be part of it. Because
I don't know.
towards the end of the first game, I mean for the second game, is that Peter's going to take a break,
Yeah,
and so they kind of did hint that maybe a Miles 2 is coming soon.
yeah. I
So
mean, it could very well just be Carnage, but then they could pull the whole. Well, let's bring Spider-Man back for the final boss fight because he still got the symbiote, which again is weird. Like, how do you do a third game and what he doesn't use the symbiote anymore? Does he? Did he lose it? Did he? Like, I feel like if they're gonna do the third game and not use the symbiote, then Miles Morales would have to like figure out how to bridge that gap.
can you imagine he gives that symbiote, the anti venom, to Harry,
Maybe.
and then he becomes the agent.
Well, Agent Venom's not the white symbiote. I mean,
But
there's eventually Toxin, but that's a whole nother symbiote altogether.
he changes. I mean, of course, he changes the color.
I don't know, man. Like I said, there's too much. There's too much, and that's why my rating for Spider-Man 2 is lower than Spider-Man 1. Even though Spider-Man 1 had a lot of villains, it just made sense the way that they set it up and the way that they ended it.
Yeah,
And oh, they killed villains in this one, which
yeah.
I'm not completely a fan of. I get why they did it, and I'm like, I'm sort of okay with it, but it's like, well, I'm never gonna get to see Scorpion again. Well, I'm never gonna get to see Rhino again. I'm never gonna get to see any of the Sinister Six people ever again.
Yeah, even Vulture.
Poor bird.
Nah, fuck him.
Which, speaking of birds, this is the last thing I think we'll touch up because we didn't really talk about the side missions. I agree with you, Mike, that the side missions were a lot more personal, but I think it's because they built up on what you did on the last one. One specifically, the bird mission.
I liked it. Did you like it?
I liked it because, like, if you remember in the first game, you had to capture those birds for the guy, and
Yeah.
now you're kind of like finding them a new home, and then the guy ends up dead, and it's like, holy shit, like,
Yeah.
damn.
They didn't have to do Howard that dirty. Damn, I
The
wasn't
song
ready.
they played too, it was like, oh man, I know where this is going.
Oh man, for real. And then okay, I'm sorry, but I didn't like the photo missions.
They were okay. It's the same thing as the first one. You had photo
But
missions
I thought they're
too.
gonna do something more. If they spend more so much more on the other side missions, like doing
There
cutscenes.
was more story to this. Or like Robertson's like a take on New York was kind of cool as opposed to just like, hey, this building is iconic. Okay, bye. Like I don't know. I liked it better in this one than I did in the first one.
It's more engaging with the character, but I just would have liked something more.
God, that reminds me then of one more thing that I'm gonna get so much hate for, and I don't know how to go about it,
Just feel
and I
it.
don't know if you'll agree or disagree.
Let's see.
So
Let me hear.
Miles's story parts, Miles's side missions felt like it was really and this I am over exaggerating when I'm saying this because I don't think it's the case. But it just felt this way to me. It felt like they were forcing an agenda.
A woke mission.
So like the first like Miles's side mission, I think it's the first one. If not the first one, definitely the second
Was it
one.
with the music?
No, no, no. It's the couple. It's
Oh, the men, the two, yeah,
the gay couple where like you're helping the kid like out with proposing for homecoming and shit like
yeah.
that. It was I don't know. Like at first I was just like, okay, cool. I guess like they're just trying to throw that in. All right, whatever. And then we get like the Black History sort of mission, the music one, yeah, the one that you're bringing up. But like you're in the museum, And you could ignore everything in the museum, but if you didn't and you took the time, you got to learn about Black history, which okay, cool, but do I want this much in a game where like am I trying to play the game or am I taking a history lesson at this point?
To be honest with you, I skipped all of that and I just went straight to towards the end.
But then that, but that, like some could argue, like, "Oh, you're such an asshole! Like, why didn't you take the time to like learn about this and this and that?" I'm
I don't
like
have time for that. I'm playing a game.
if it was in a Miles Morales game, like if this was in the first, like in the Miles Morales, like the game, the one before this, like I think it would have made more sense. I think it would have been like, okay, perfect, yep, okay, cool, I get it. That's kind of what it was all about because that's what Miles's intro originally was. It was like, cool, we get our first like Latino African American superhero. It makes sense, but it just felt kind of forced here.
It was
And
forced.
then
I enjoy the Prowler side mission more than the music mission.
agreed. I think the deaf we're playing as I think her name is Haley, the deaf girl.
Oh, I thought that was
I think
cool.
it was cool, but I felt like it would have been cool if we got one more as opposed to just having
Just
one.
one.
I don't know. I feel like if you're gonna go dive into this, like just dive a little bit deeper and give us more of that personal connection between that character and Miles. I feel like their relationship was more developed in the first game than it did in this game.
Hmm.
Um, I feel like there was something else, but I don't know. It just felt like Miles's perspective stuff, like doing his side missions and whatever, just felt like it was more agenda driven than it did else. I don't know in the rest of the game.
So
It stuck out. It just stuck out a lot more.
the way that I saw it was that I thought this mission was going to be like a life lesson for Miles that he wants to be a DJ and everything like that. By the way, I love the Mysterio side quest.
Oh
Did you?
yeah, we didn't get to talk about that.
I thought that was fucking phenomenal.
I think it was cool.
And that you were a
The
DJ?
DJ part would have been cooler if we did more of it, but it just fell out of place for me because you only did it once at the very beginning and never did it ever again.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole Mysterio sideline I think was pretty cool. I think it
I
was
liked it a lot.
pretty handled well. Yeah.
With the music side mission, I thought that we were going to get like a life lesson from Miles. We did, but I'm talking about like music wise because he's all about electronics and stuff like that instead of like the old school stuff. Um, he just saved the stuff for the museum, but never really showed interest in the actual like old school art.
Well, if you weren't an asshole and did all the history lesson stuff, he does show appreciation for it.
I'll just YouTube it.
When when you go up to it, like it gives you the history, and then Miles does have like a comment or two about like the impact that they had or whatever.
I'm sorry, but you probably could have maybe done something with that instead of me going
God,
to.
you're such a dick, Mike.
Oh,
Jeez.
I'm such a dick for going straight towards the end because I have something else better to do.
Damn, you heard him say it here first, people.
Ladies and gentlemen, music lessons or fight Venom?
I think I would have preferred the music
Fuck
lessons.
you.
The Venom was thing was too long.
The
All right.
um
That's that. I think that's. I'm sure we're missing a lot more because there is a lot packed into this game. But I think we hit all the main beats. If we remember something in the future, especially if Ham decides to end up buying a PlayStation 5 and playing this game, I'm sure he'll give his perspective and we'll add on to it.
probably yeah.
But this is still a good game. It is still worth playing.
I
I
think
think just like any other first party PlayStation game, it does it very well where it tries to
yeah.
throw you in to like
Hmm.
being the character and having these very like big epic sequences and these heartfelt moments. But as a Spider-Man fan, knowing too much about I guess some origin of these characters and what how they're usually portrayed and even though like Insomniac does do right in some ways, this felt very forced like fan service and not built up justified fan service. What was we compared it to something. There was something else that did fan service and we said that it did it wrong. It was like a movie we watched and I can't remember what we were talking about. Because I always said that Endgame, Avengers Endgame, was fan service done right. Because we invested so much of our time into these characters, and they kept it as real as they possibly could. And then they were like, fuck it, let's just do all the cool things in this movie. And it was done well because it felt like we deserved it. This one didn't feel, or at least for me, I felt like I didn't deserve it. Or if you did give it to me, you didn't give it to me well enough, because I hate doing a fucking 3 hit combo for like 99,000 times. I was hoping that would be a trophy. Yeah, you did 3 hit combo 1 billion times. Then no, I didn't even get fucking that trophy. No, doesn't even exist.
I'm going to say this. I think this is game of the year. I feel confident for saying it. I really did love this game a lot. But us speaking through it and walking down the story together, I feel like this could have been a really good um Spider-Man 3 game.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that.
Last game, let's go all fucking out. Let's do it. Maybe Craven could have been part 2, and with Green Goblin, and you know, but I really did like everything what they did in this game. I did. There's no complaint. I mean, a couple complaints. Some. We talked about it, but I think overall this game is game of the year. I think it was great. It was phenomenal. I hope. I'm pretty sure they are going to make Miles too. Um, to address whatever that was not addressed in two, they addressed it in Miles too.
I think they'll just put in Miles to whatever they feel like doesn't fit into their third Spider-Man game.
What else can they mix?
I don't. Well, they could also just throw in Wolverine just cause.
Or maybe Silk
And that no, they have to throw in Silk. You can't. They don't just tease it and not do anything with it. They're gonna do something with it.
and Miles too. More likely he shows her.
Well, that could be the Miles game then. That could be because that was. I mean, it's the guy. The father is dating. Rio is dating Miles' mom. So that could be the second Miles game where we see Miles become a mentor to Cindy, just like Peter
And we
was to
could play as
Miles.
Cindy, you think?
Not until Spider-Man 3, where now you get to play as all three characters.
How would you feel if you play as Silk and Miles too? Force?
Yeah, I feel like I don't know what goes behind the scenes, but I just feel like if these developers feel like they're limited and like we're not sure how many games we're gonna get, despite how successful the first one was, it's just sad to see that they're just throwing everything they possibly can just because they're not sure if they're ever going to be able to touch it on it later. I feel like the first game had laid such a good foundation for a hell of a lot more good Spider-Man games. Like just like how you had good Spider-Man series in the comics, you could have done the same thing with these video games and you still would have been like pumping out a hit after hit after hit. I just feel like now they're just cramming everything because they don't know if they'll get a chance to do another game.
You see, this is I'll say this from. How can I say this? Okay, I'll say this from a Batman fan. Being disappointed with Arkham Knight. As long as they don't do what Arkham Knight did, I think Spider-Man 3 is going to
We get the
be.
Spider-Man. We get the Spider-Mobile.
We get the Spider-Mobile and we get a Force villain. I don't think any of the villains are in here are Force. Not that we felt. I don't know. I didn't feel that, but um,
Wait, in Spider-Man or in Batman?
and Spider-Man, because and Batman. I mean, now this is going to a different
I
conversation.
felt Scream was forced.
For what? Oh, a Scream. Yeah, Scream was Force. Yeah, but it was done. It was and like one and done.
Yeah, I guess. Just like Deathstroke in Arkham Knight.
Yeah, exactly.
One and done. Just, not like he was anything pivotal in the Batman storylines, but whatever.
Yeah, why not? Let's just add him because he's not that important. Even though there's so many different good stories between them. But hey, fuck it, one and done. Arkham Knight gave me PTSD.
I don't know. I just hope they kind of dial it back a bit. I would hate to play as Cindy and Miles because then I feel like they're not doing Miles enough service.
Yeah. Did you feel like they
So
did enough service for Miles in this game, or it was just focused on just?
yeah, no, I think so. I think the balance between playing as Spider-Man and playing as Miles was done really well. If I'm being though 100% completely honest, I kind of wish we didn't have Miles as a playable character yet in the same game with Spider-Man. I think he would have been a cool supporting character, which yeah, he kind of was here, but I wanted to still just play as Spider-Man, as Peter Parker Spider-Man, than Miles.
Once I
I think
got
I
the
would have
symbiote
liked that
suit,
better.
yeah. Once I got the symbiote suit, I didn't switch back to Miles, not unless I had to.
Yeah.
So,
Like I just wanted to be Peter Parker centered and not like not play as anyone else. I don't know. Like people can disagree with me on that, and I get it. I completely get it. I think it is cool to play as Miles. I do like Miles a lot as a character, but just like with God, what there was something else I had talked about. I just want to just let Peter Parker just let that character simmer. There's so much you can do with that Peter Parker Spider-Man dynamic that movies and the video games just don't do enough with.
not if you're Tobey Maguire.
Exactly.
Gotcha. I don't know.
10 out of 10.
We'll see what they do with Miles 2 and going into Miles Spider-Man 3. Like I mentioned, to me, I think this is game of the year. I don't think there's other games that can top this, at least because of fan service. Alan Wake is creeping up to be game of the year, or even Baldur's Gate 3. It's like
I think Baldur's Gate 3 has a better chance of being game of the year.
probably, but it's just more likely. It all depends on. I don't know. Is it on votes?
I don't know. No, I think they have their own board because they do like the fan choice for game of the year, and then they do their game of the year, game of the year.
Okay, so probably Boulder's game more likely, or if they all feel the same way as how I'm feeling, or some fans do. Not hopefully. I mean, if they feel the way that Sal feels, this is definitely not game of the year. But for me, I think this is game of the year. I had a lot of fun. I will replay it again. I loved it. Um, but yeah, I'm excited to see what they're gonna do in the future. I'm waiting for that Wolverine game. I'm wondering what they're gonna do with it and when is it gonna come out.
Yep.
So yeah, holy shit, we talked about it for quite some time.
2 hours, man. 2 hours.
2 hours. All right. Hopefully, you listeners are there listening to us all the way. If you made it this far, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Hey, give us your thought of what you guys thought about the game and if you guys agree with us or not. On our Instagram is WRMAcast. And follow us on YouTube and Twitter WRMAcast. We have an email
I'm,
too.
I'm surprised you actually still remember all that.
I've been practicing for this moment. I was born for this moment.
Email is still drunkcop.ateacher@gmail.com.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ham will text right to you about his vacation.
Yeah. He'll send all the pictures of him drinking on the cruise.
Him drinking and then probably having a Spider-Man mask, and
That's not unlike him. Yeah, that's accurate.
yeah, and drinking.
Yep.
So hey guys, so shit. Hopefully we'll do another review or maybe just a life review of what we've been up to and our
And why we don't watch movies and TV anymore.
yeah, and probably give our intake of the whole entertainment stuff.
I think the strike is what it's bringing it down.
I think so too.
All right. Usually I say final words, gentlemen, but I guess it's just you, Mike. Do you have a final saying you want to give off before I close this out?
I can't think of anything clever except for great power comes great
Stop. Just
drinks.
stop.
I don't know.
Just stop.
I'm
Just
doing it for
stop. Please
him.
don't. No. Now, you know what? Playing as the Venom isn't so bad anymore now that you said that shit.
You know what? Give me a proper farewell Batman game.
I'll give you a 3-hit combo 99 times.
Oh, Mortal Kombat green card.